On this computer. Off we go. Now I'm recording. Thanks. So what we are going to go through is a couple of information about the current situation, but also what I'm going to say is going to be recorded now. And additionally, we prepared a document that we will share with everybody later, on which we will be happy to have feedback, but it's more creating context and giving everyone a reference on what is going to happen. And additional to that, we have created the basic mini infrastructure that we are going to use in order to manage the job and the business in this difficult time. So first of all, the situation is real and is not going to last a few minutes. But on the other side, we already see significant positive signs coming out overall. So there's decent amount of countries who are reporting that the amount of infection is decreasing, and that there's already some countries in Europe who are considering loosening a bit the lockdown starting already at the beginning of May. So there are signs that the lockdown is actually bringing some result, and so apparently hopefully things will start moving again, and this fear of uncertainty will kind of hopefully go away. So what is happening right now? The situation is unprecedented, at least in the last century. This is the biggest threat of the century in economical terms, but also in safety terms across the planet. And is caused by the smallest organism nearly on the planet. While everybody was ready for cyber attacks and other type of things, we basically got shot out on our knees by a little virus, which is kind of ironic at the same time. The implications are global. So, and even if Agile 42 has a distributed structure and has been kind of resilient in nature, we managed to go through 3 economical crises already. Despite that, by leveraging our international connection, we managed to pull in people into international projects when in one country there was a little bit of crisis, but now this crisis is global and is hitting everybody. So all the countries are finding themselves in difficult time. The important thing is we honor the principle safety comes first. So we all are on the same boat and we try really to do the best we can to keep everybody safe. And then there is the economical side of it. So the economical side is the difficult one because we are all struggling, and we will see later a couple of more of information about this. But the situation is not just us, but all of our clients, all the people around us are struggling in the same way. They're still finding it difficult and hard to understand how to align or to cope with this condition at the moment. At least here in Europe, we are in it since more or less 4 or 5 weeks, 6 weeks in some cases for our Italian friends who are kind of used to the situation in a way. And so the economy apparently is restarting. There's already good signs that companies are asking about services and so on. It's never going to be exactly the same like before. It's never going to be normal again for a long time. But there are good signs that people are again interested in doing something, in learning and in having support. The biggest thing we have to tackle is the fear of uncertainty, and also the fact that the fear of uncertainty in different business sectors is creating a ripple effect across all the industry. So our situation isn't better than others, even if the numbers don't show it really, because if we look at the first 3 months of last year, which is the picture above, 2019, we had a total revenue of nearly 2.4 million by the end of March. And if we look at 2020, we are at 1.3 million roughly. So one would say, well, is 1.1 million less? Is still a little bit more than the half, right? And so it's not that bad after all. But the problem is, since the crisis started, we didn't get any order or any new confirmation, or very, very few. And the few we get are primarily for training seats or other little project, and not in all country yet. So we still have jobs from before the crisis started, which have a long tail. And even if we lost many of those who were already confirmed, we managed to convert some of those into working remotely. And we are now trying to work hard to find a new service, profiling a new client that will be willing to work with us even remotely. And we are spending a lot of effort, and we already did kind of magic if you look at it from one perspective, because we managed to shift at least the CSM, CSPO workshop, and we are now running the first remote call. And we did all of that in roughly 1 week time. And we moved all of our training basically on virtual remote platform, which is kind of impressive if we look at the time. But we managed that because we all came together, we helped each other, and we figured out how to contribute and to do that. So what do we need to change now and why? So there's a couple of things. First of all, we need to be aware of the landscape in which we are operating. And the first thing we will be doing is to do a landscape analysis. The landscape analysis will allow us to understand what is the impact in different market sector, economies, or even countries around the world following this crisis. And because of this crisis, the market are shrinking. And even if the prediction of the World Institute, of the UN World Institute for Economy, are actually looking at a dip in the crisis, which you see the worst case scenario, according to their current data, will not be as bad as the economical crisis in 2009. There's other people who think that it will actually be much worse because it will drag along in 2021 and possibly even 2022. So there's all sorts of possible projection for future economical disaster, but all of those are based still on uncertain data and information, because we don't yet understand how to contain and how to defeat the virus, really. And so what we need to do then is we need to be very aware of the fact that in this moment of uncertainty and crisis, people are less willing to invest money. So they're not going to easily be convinced about doing anything that they don't really need. And so we have to be very, very effective in shaping and in describing exactly what the outcome will be of every service we are going to deliver, and we have to market it to the right market group. What does it mean? It means that we have to be more careful and more thorough in understanding which market sector, which type of client that we used to have or that we have since are in the condition to actually invest money and spend money. Not all of them are hit badly by the crisis. Actually, there are some market sectors that, because of the crisis, are actually increasing their revenues and they are thriving in this situation. But not necessarily because they're good at working remotely, just because they have products like, for example, software tools which help collaborations or communication infrastructure and so on, which due to the crisis are in much higher demand than they used to be before, because everything which was happening physically is now not anymore happening physically. So we have to be very careful. We will do our own landscape analysis. We're going to start as soon as tomorrow with this job. And this landscape analysis will allow us to basically identify which area of the market, by starting interviewing and sketching how our clients are reacting to it, are mostly affected by the crisis and which area are not, so that we can focus on helping those people who are also in the condition to be helped, and not just trying to help everybody, even the one who are not, unfortunately, in the condition to be helped at this moment in time. So how do we get that done? And what is going to change for us? Well, we need a lot more of focus and more rigor in the way we do things. In moment of abundance, we all had the chance to work on our pet project, on work on our own interest and work on our own beliefs and ideas. And we did that in a kind of disparse way, because most of our time was primarily focusing on delivering customer value at the customer on site. And we all hated to travel a lot. So maybe, God heard us and all of a sudden grounded us all so that we can work from home, sitting on our chairs or sitting in the sun like the CEO is demonstrating at the moment. And all of this needs a time to reflect and needs a little bit of a different approach to things, especially because there is scarcity on the market, and we need to make sure that we don't miss any valid opportunity to actually gather valuable leads. So first of all, we need to increase our rigor when it comes to testing and probing new market or new product, because we cannot afford to miss an opportunity or lose an opportunity which is worth following. There won't be many, and we have to be very, very savvy in getting the right one at the right moment. In order to do that, we need to qualify much better our leads. We need to have the capability to make decisions based on data, not on feelings. And we need to be able to test initiatives in parallel by launching them globally and measuring the impact of each of these initiatives in different countries. Based on the fact that we might able to derive in which stage of crisis each country is, we might even see a wave of things which start selling in certain country coming up in other country later. But fundamentally, what we want to do is to actually push things which are selling well in each country, not try to push everything everywhere, which would be a massive waste of time. In order to make sure we can coordinate all of this activity, we want to work together using our strategy map, and we want to form improvement squad. And only improvement squad will continue to do work in terms of development and further delivery of infrastructure, which will help us selling to the clients. We want to work with a common framework altogether, and what we will be trying to do is to share the revenue and rotate the revenue around so that everybody survives. So we are in this to stay, and we are not in this to go away. There is no time for competition between countries at this point. We need to do the best we can to keep the family alive and keep everybody afloat. And so what we're gonna do what we tell our client to do, is nothing new. But fundamentally, we're going to focus on collecting anyone who has idea is welcome to propose this idea. We created a Trello board, which is called the New Ideas, and I'm going to show you that in a second. And we are going to have each of those ideas captured using a business opportunity canvas. And this business opportunity canvas will have a specific value stream that is addressing either me agile, we agile, or all agile. And on a weekly basis, we will be evaluating all the new ideas and reprioritize the list of ideas on our 42 BD meetings. So to make sure that on a weekly basis, we can capture the new things and reconsider based on market changes what we want to focus on. In order to be effective at this, we need to focus on a maximum amount of ideas. For the beginning, we decided that we want to have one running new ideas for each of the 3 value streams. So there will be 3 maximum new running ideas in parallel at different stages. And we're going to talk about that later. But for now, before we move on with the presentation, I want to show you where our ideas are. If I'm able to remove these bloody things from the middle. Okay, so I'm going to show you here the Trello board. Everybody sees the Trello board? The Trello board is linked from the document we are going to share after the presentation. It's called Agile 42 New Ideas. It's a team board, so everybody should be in there. We have different phases here: new idea, qualified idea, ranked ideas, which will be our backlog. Then phase 1 is the phases I'm going to explain a bit later. But fundamentally here, there is an example of an idea which has already the picture of a value profile and risk profile. You will find a template now in our sheet template. If you go in File, Create New, from Template, you will find this new template, which is called Business Opportunity Canvas. You can describe your idea, filling in the background information, target group, customer benefit, problem to solve, possible solution, and ideas on monetization. And then there are 2 additional tabs. One is called Value Profile and one is called Risk Profile. We put in some high-level generic qualitative measure, which will result in calculating automatically these profiles here. So this is just to give us an idea, and in a way that we will be able, just by looking at different opportunities on each of these cards, which one have a higher possibility of impact in terms of value and how the risk looks like. So we will keep the opportunity ranked, and then we will allow different improvement squad to pull those cards anytime that they see fit, and it fits into their goal for achieving their success factor or supporting their success factors. We need to be connected to the strategy map, because the strategy map will be the tool that allow us to coordinate across all the different improvement squad around the world. And the new goal, which has already been created, which is called We Are Here to Stay, will be focusing primarily on leveraging all the expertise and the business that we already have, but also on systematically, continuously probe new ideas that we can sell to the current market landscape. So as we learned, for now, we are still supporting remote training for the training we already initially planned. We already started activity to reschedule all of the training based on time zone separation, so that we are not competing with one another, and we can offer different training every week of different kind. And we already planned a sort of rotation on which trainers will do which training, so that we can all kind of support each other while hopefully filling more the classes. This requires a massive amount of activity that we didn't see coming from the beginning, but we need to shift the classes from 2 days to 3 days. We need to inform everybody who was already subscribed that the classes date, it might have changed, because we are now merging and overlapping classes which were very close to one another and needs now to be compacted into a single one. So there's a lot of activities that no one of us as in their own daily routine. For this reason, we are going to have to coordinate all of this through the strategy map. And in particular, we are going to look again at our success factor and make sure that in the validating column, which is the one in the middle, there are all the ones which are most relevant at the moment. And also, we will make sure that the champions which are appointed to those success factors will have the possibility to fully operate and control and be responsible for that specific success factor together with their improvement squads. The improvement squads might change over time depending on what is needed to do, but the champion should remain stable and kind of keep the knowledge and the expertise about that specific thing to do. All business idea and opportunity that we are prioritizing on the board will need to be tied up to a specific success factor on the strategy map, unless they are something completely new and novel that we want to experiment anyway, as long as they are not completely alienated from our existing business model. So we can't sell marijuana or do other stuff like that, guys. The idea would be nice, but it's not what we are doing, okay? And we will not work on anything which isn't explicitly on that strategy map. So before we move on to this, I want to show you what is the current strategy map. And we already changed the goal with the new goal to be by the end of 2020 profitable again. And by means of delivering a different portfolio of digital and remote services, specifically this year. By the way, this is what we wanted to do anyway, but now we are forced to only do that in a market situation which is extremely tough. So if we will be able to sell this stuff in this market situation, means they are really good, and for sure they will continue selling even after that. There are a couple of success factors which are particularly important at the moment. One of these is the consistent and effective training, for which we need to measure the Net Promoter Score, but also we need to make sure that we have remote facilitation training available for all the training that we offer. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to offer those trainings. So we need a squad to take care of moving all of the training materials for the stuff which has been documented and already sold, of course, into the equivalent remote version with a nice Agile 42 layout and reusable board in Miro and all the rest, so that other people can use and deliver it, and which is also part of keeping on documenting the training, in which case we will need to document the training both in a in person, but also in a remote version at the moment. So I suggest at the moment focusing on the remote facilitation is more valuable than continuing to document the static or in-person version. We also have another success factor, which we are close to experiment at the moment. We already ran a couple of experimentation on online training. There were 3 experiments which ran at the moment, but there is one which I will show you later, which is related to the business opportunity that I just showed you on the board. This is called monetization of Agile one-on-one training. Means that we have tested the training already. We have validated that there is interest, there is good feedback. Some people even submitted reviews, which are all often between 4 and 5 stars. So the training quality seems to be good. And we followed all their feedback, and we improved the training in terms of content, in terms of video creation together with Benjamin. So now it looks quite nice and is all Agile 42 style and branded. So we are positive about it, but we still need to find out what price point is the price point that will allow us to sell us the most of these things. And now we have to market it, because it's addressing, of course, beginners audience. Also, additionally to that, because it's an introduction training, can be used to actually upsell other services on the line. So the squad which will take care of focusing on this success factor will probably have the advantage of using this training, which is already in more advanced stage in terms of experimentation, to test the market. But their goal is to continue, based on the feedback they get, to design and develop new online content that can be sold to the market. So this is the way the strategy map is going to help us and to accompany us. Additionally to that, we are going to follow a simple 3-phase execution for everything which happens from now on. First of all, we will keep on executing on all the confirmed success factors which are still relevant in this phase, in particular the one related to training, but also the one related to coaching and facilitation, which we know we are good at. We just have to transform all of the facilitation structure into digital one, into equivalent one. But we are not going to do that at all until we sell. Because from now on, we have to be very much focused on sell to make rather than make and then sell, which is what we have been doing in the past. Because the demand on the market is so reduced, we have to focus all of our effort in probing and making sure that we can sell something before we actually do it. Based on our experience, and we have been able to convert almost 3 full training in the course of 1 week using Miro and Zoom and so on, we gain enough experience to know how to facilitate remote sessions. And because of this, we believe it's safe enough now to start selling new ideas, new packages, or converted packages on our website, which is the biggest lead generators at the moment, or probably the only one we have beside the word of mouth, and starting capturing their new ideas for business opportunities, which will be then prioritized on a weekly basis. Then the first phase of work will be about validating the idea. So everybody might have a good idea. We might think is a good idea, but we don't know is a good idea until the market tells us that is a good idea. So phase 1 is about testing the interest into that idea. It's not about selling it yet, but it's about validating how many people would be interested, for example, in having specific remote training for leadership, how to lead remotely and how to lead in time of crisis. We don't need to actually create the training to test the interest, but we can create a nice description, create a nice sales package for it, starting maybe thinking about what is the value of that package, what could be the price, but we want to start attracting attention and see how many people are actually interested in something like that. If the interest will reach the threshold that we describe in our experiment canvas on the strategy map, and we collect those metrics regularly, potentially in 1 week time, then we will move on to phase 2. Phase 2 is about exploring the business model. So now we know there is enough interest in that idea. We need to explore different business models like subscription to our training, for example, or to our coaching services, or just a membership to Agile 42, which will guarantee you a 10-20% discount on all of the online remote services that we are offering. And for example, also identifying what is the price point, and if we can provide more than one package options for the same service. Just as an example, for the online training, we are going to test to offer the same exact training as is, standalone for a certain price, adding an half an hour of remote coaching for an additional price, or even potentially adding a report of the state of agility in organization in the last few months, which we have been testing through certain surveys and pulses at the moment, and we can attach that report as a bonus and create a third package. So we basically sell the same training, but in three different packages: one standalone, one with consulting added to it, and one with consulting and an additional report and material that they can download. Moving on, if we find out there is a good business model, we can sell the training because we have evidence that is selling. Then we have to move to phase 3, which is scaling the delivery, which means identifying all necessary implementation that need to be made in order to allow every country to sell and deliver these services, and also automate as much as possible so that we can hand over all the logistic for this to our office team. And the last step is we add this to the Agile 42 portfolio. Means at this point, there is a well-documented package or building blocks into our CRM portal, on which we are going to keep an updated list of all the services that we are adding. I'm referring to this website here, which is Sales and Customer Relationship Development, where we have our value stream, where we have a generic need description, when we have different personas, and we also have here a whole catalog of product and services, each of which is documented in terms of customer benefit, target group, and needs that we can cover with that. What are we going to do also next? So in order to facilitate the coordination and making sure we are executing globally, not just in different countries, we are going to join all of the office team members into a single international office team, which will take care of operation, will take care of updating everybody, and make sure that from a customer perspective, everything runs smoothly, which is already not the case at the moment. We had a couple of hiccups already today. At the same time, we will have a single international sales team. The two teams will coordinate with one another and will support the improvement squad in their development and work activities. This is particularly important because starting from phase 2 of the process we have seen before, the sales team will help identifying business model, pricing, strategies, and things like that. But at the same time, the office team can be very helpful in starting in phase 3 to understand how to systemize the service or the new product that we want to deliver in terms of logistic, back office work, subscription, payment, and the whole organization which is behind it. So we need to make sure that when we say something is finished and is ready to be delivered, then is also the case, and no office team is finding themselves completely unprepared when it comes to communication with the client. As is happened now in the past weeks, we have been very fast in implementing a first prototype for our online training services, but as many of you might not knowing, we received a lot of questions of confused people about what is going to happen. Are they going to be remote? Are they still going to be 2 days or 3 days? When are they really starting? And so on and so forth. So a lot of questions that we weren't thinking about just because we only thought about building the infrastructure rather than actually thinking about the whole service end to end, including the delivery. And this is what we need to be able to do from now on, really focusing on all the steps necessary before we go in production, but at the same time be very fast in moving from phase 1 to phase 2 eventually, or even drop it off if we see there is not enough interest. Don't be scared to throw away an idea if it's not working. We have the opportunity to test another one. On top of that, we have to stick to some simple guiding principle for improving sales. Sales is no magic. There are some people who are more talented in handling conversation with clients. Thank God we have those guys. And sales is more about ruthless execution of a process which in general goes through the phases of generating traffic, generating lead, generating prospect, and then generating revenue. And this is a funnel, so there is no linear one-on-one thing, as we all know, and we lose people at every one of these steps. Given the crisis at the moment, and given the help that hopefully our well-done landscape analysis will allow us to achieve, we will probably improve the way we can qualify our leads by looking at the industry, at the country, and other similar maybe industries in other countries who are not so much hit by the economical situation. We will probably be able to craft messages which are more appropriate for those type of audiences, and throw traffic and generate traffic for those type of listener or followers on our website, and then trying to profile those people, try to create interest, generate leads, generate prospect, and then move on hopefully to close deals and generate revenue. Also in this process, we need to be as fast and effective as possible. Leaving open offer or leaving prospect hanging for a long time is most certainly a sign that they are not going to go forward. So either we follow them very, very closely and tightly, and we try to close the deal, or we just simply let them go. In general, in terms of ease of sales, these 4 categories help. Means it's easier to sell existing products converted to digital to existing clients, provided they have the capability. The reason for this is that both the cost of execution and the cost of sales are low, because we have already established trust relationship, and because we already know how to deliver specific products. What might be missing is the digital infrastructure to do so, but as said before, we can build that relatively quickly. We have experience now with it, so we are all in sell to make at the moment. If someone buys something that we don't have, we're going to make it only after they sign the contract. The second level is selling new product to existing client. There we have an established trust relationship. We might want to use them respectfully as our testing group, and provide them with new products that might be most for different target groups, and then we will be able basically to validate those products, improve them probably, and then try to sell them then to new clients. The third category is selling existing product to new clients, especially in moment of crisis. Winning trust of people will be extremely difficult. So finding new client in this moment is going to be very, very difficult unless we have really what they are looking for. So they will come to us instead of us going and trying to chase them. And this is also a little bit the reason why we now published a new website that probably some of you already noticed. Pun intended, you should all have noticed. And we should have the possibility to edit pages very quickly and add new information and create more attention to our services. So the new website has a lot more of call to actions than the old one used to. There's a lot more of specific packages than people can look for. Hopefully quickly enough, Google will index all of our pages, and then we will again appear quickly on the search engines for certain specific topics. And then last but not least, selling new products to new clients. That will be extremely difficult at the moment because there's a very high cost of sales and a very high cost of implementation. So I don't think we will be able to focus on that, because given the current market condition, we have to focus in very much on cash flow and very much on quick revenue. So we don't have the luxury at the moment to look at medium and long-term return only. So we really have to look at what are all the low-hanging fruit that we can capture at the moment. Yes, but we're already doing a lot of stuff. Yes, we are always doing a lot of stuff. Thank God for that. We are very active. Everybody has a lot of ideas, and we are all working on something at any moment in time because we don't like to sit around and wait. That's a fact, and it's a very good thing. But we need to be very disciplined. So everything which we are currently doing that does either get fitted into our strategy and into this new approach, or we have to just park it on the side till further notice, because at the moment might not be needed nor necessary, okay? Especially if we have something halfway in the implementation side, but we don't even have any validation at all. If it's going to sell in this moment, then we should really take it and put it in the garage until the economical situation will be different again. And additionally to that, every activity which is already now contributing to create revenue or to keep us afloat, and every connected activity which is also running at the moment should be continued within the context of improvement squad to make sure that we will not waste effort by running parallel activities, and also to make sure that we maximize our focus and effectiveness toward the market, which in this moment are really, really important, because we are here to stay, not to be blown away. Questions? Goes too fast? No.
I have a small question.
Yeah.
So, for example, we have already at the moment the good situation in Germany. We have a few clients. We're transferring the on-site days to virtual days. Is this an example which we have already validated this kind of is working, or how we could take this current experience? We have a few clients to the other countries which benefits. They are already, there is revenue coming. In which phase we're gonna land with this? Should we map this also here on or not?
Well, if in my opinion, if that is normal coaching work on coaching project, that will be delivered by the country to their own client anyway, right? So that's and we have that at the moment because we managed to convert already booked work into virtual work, and we're starting getting some requests in these days again. So which is a good sign. But I wouldn't map that into any phase, because that is not experimentation. That is our business as usual. And so it's probably connected, is work which comes out of the success factor related to consistent coaching approach across all countries. So perhaps the squad which will be in charge of that might receive from the country who are still running remote coaching suggestions on how to improve, for example, the coaching infrastructure for remote facilitation, like Miro boards or new idea, or how to market, how to price this type of things differently, for example, on an hourly basis instead of daily basis and things like that. But anything which has been sold and has been committed already, I think every team, every coaching team in every country should continue to deliver that as they've been doing so far. Make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. This is confirmed success factor. I think we have it somewhere in now.
Yes, it is there.
Yeah. Good, thank you.
Avi?
Yeah. How are going to be the improvement squads being built? How are we going to form the improvement squads?
Good question. As the strategy map framework suggests, the improvement squad will be formed around the champions. So the champions will ask people to join if they think those people can contribute, or they will ask probably through Slack if anybody with certain type of expertise can join and help in a way. But this means that the improvement squad are not on a volunteering basis, but are going to be driven by the champions. And depending on, for example, if we have a confirmed success factor, there is the need of certain type of skills to keep that going on. Like, for example, migrating all training material towards Miro boards and better description, perhaps using session labs now that we have access to it. And the alternative, if the improvement squad is a PSF improvement squad, so it's still working on something experimental, The squad might even change between phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, because there are different things to do, and we might need less people at the beginning and more people after, or different type of people altogether. So it's up to the champions to discuss and agree how is the best way to effectively run the squad without wasting resources and time. It's nice to be all informed, it's nice to be all part of something, but we have to be very, very careful about not wasting effort and talent from anyone at the moment. I remember it was Simon, and then Lothar, and then Marie.
Daniel has a question, Andrea. Let him.
Who?
And Daniel.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't raising my hand. There are so many videos I just posted.
Okay.
It's good if you put it in the chat, and then we can go one after the next. Is a good idea.
Okay, so let's guys write the question in the chat, and I will go one after the next.
Okay.
Thanks, Daniel, for starting, and you will have the chance to get the first written question answered. So on how new ideas to leverage existing success move forward. Can you elaborate a bit?
Yeah, so if we know that we're having some success with virtual training, if we said, hey, I would like to schedule it a little differently. Like I want to do it over 6 sessions that are small, or I want to try a weekend version of it to see if that's more popular. Yeah. Would that small pivot still go through those, the business opportunity canvas, or would it just be up to the decision of the office team and the squad?
I mean, in my opinion, by changing the schedule or the format of delivery, you are fundamentally testing a new business model, because probably the payment is going to look different, the delivering is going to look different. So there are different options. So it's basically as if you were going back to phase 2 rather than phase 1. You validated there is interest because we can sell the training already in a 2 days format. We are going to test if there is a possibility to sell it in 3 days format, which means we are not going to test for interest, but we are probably going to publish one training distributed over 6 weeks with a nice explanation, even if we don't have it ready yet, and see how many people will subscribe and pay for it. So paying money in phase 2 is what validates the business model, okay, and validates the value. Make sense?
So that would still go on the Trello board, right?
Yes, we'll still go on the Trello board. We'll still have an opportunity canvas, but we'll start basically from phase 2 rather than starting from phase 1.
Thank you.
So question number...
Next one is Marit.
Next one is Marit. So when you are referring to champion, are those the people generating the idea which has been prioritized, or do we mean refer to the... So the champion, we are referring to the champion of a success factor on the strategy map. So those are stable champions, and they will work around the squad based on what needs they have. Any new ideas which come in, which might be relevant to their own success factor, will basically be pulled in for execution. When that happens, then probably the person who had the idea in the first place is going to be contacted in order to be part of that innovation squad, improvement squad, for the time being in that experiment. And then if the experiment succeeds, you probably go forward. If the experiment failed, then the person will probably not be anymore part of that improvement squad. But that's okay, and we all have to live with that. Next question from Lothar. The number of improvement squad is limited on 3, and the limitation of experiment implies everything should be between phase 1 and 4. So I'm not sure. So the amount of improvement squad is not limited by the ideas or the opportunities, but it's going to be one improvement squad for each of the relevant success factor that we have in place. What is going to be limited is the amount of experiment that we will do in each of the target groups we are addressing with our portfolio. So there is going to be only one experiment for me, Agile, one experiment for we, Agile, and one experiment for all Agile at any moment in time. And that is obvious because if we are creating marketing messages, we are making campaigns and other things with a specific target on individual, we don't want to have 2 or 3 concurrent initiatives for individuals learning or coaching at the same time, because that can be quite confusing. At least at the beginning, we focus on that until we validate quickly phase 1 or phase 2. When we will reconsider if we have a lot of things moving to phase 2, which is actually good, means there is interest and we can monetize, then we will consider if we want to push in other stuff into phase 1 in the same value stream or not. But we don't know yet because we don't have enough data at the moment. Make sense? Cool. Then we have Simon. The strategic goal has changed significantly. Should we kill most success factor as they become irrelevant? Yes, start from clean slate, identify new set of success factor, and find new champions and improvement squad. Well, we are not throwing everything away, but significant changes are happening already. I've been making a lot of change over the weekend already. We are going to remove some success factor because they are absolutely not relevant anymore for this goal. But things like consistent training delivery and aligned coaching approach, those are things that are basically in our DNA, and is what we are doing also now in this difficult time. So those things are going to stay. Then we had, anyway, luckily, a lot of new potential success factor aiming at digital remote services, because this was the outcome of the innovation sprint in Morocco. And thank God we had those, because now they come very handy, and thank God we were ready to handle those things. So we are going to go through the strategy map anyway in the next days, and we are going to make sure that's only left there what is relevant at the moment and not other stuff. Okay? Cool. We is whoever has time to contribute, but mainly the 42 BD, I think, we look at the strategy from now on, at least to make sure stuff. But if you have any idea on what should be removed, in the current version of the strategy map, you can enter comments in every item, so which is rich text format now. And you can even use the @ to actually mention people and attract their attention directly. So like you do in Slack or you do in LinkedIn or in other places. So you just put an @ sign with the name of the person, and they will be notified via email and also via the tool. Additionally, the strategy map tool now allows us to create links for every item, so we can take that link and paste it in every other Slack channel or Trello board or whatever to connect all the tools with one another, which is quite handy. Not to lose context, and the same applies the other way around. So we can now put any link to a Trello board inside PSF or other places, because there are pretty URL and rich text format that we can use. So Marit, is there a guide in terms of minimum, maximum number of team members in those improvement squad? At the moment, not. We leave it to the judgment of the improvement squad themselves, how many people they need. But we have to be careful, because there are a lot of people who are kind of specialized or have a special talent and skill, and we can't lock them into an improvement squad. This is why, for example, we have a common sales team where Marion, of course, will be part of, and also a common office team, to make sure that we are not replicating email that we send out. We don't mess up with calendars and all this type of thing. An example that just happened, we tried to join all of the training with calendars and everything, but we didn't think it through. And now a lot of people who were already subscribed are asking, when is the training actually? Is this day or that date? Is 2 days or 3 days? So we are having a lot of things that we didn't really think through, which are coming now to the comb. And this is the reason why we should make sure, now that we have training across the border, not anymore by country, but by time zone, and all the activity we do need to be tested internationally, we should make sure that everybody is online with this. So what do we do with webinar, other stuff we are working on at the moment, and how do we know what to drop? So webinar, we have been caught by webinar. We do a lot of webinar which have a lot of values, and people love them because we give them training for free, basically. So we teach a lot of stuff through this webinar, which is very valuable to them. And we have good success, at least with some session, over 100 or even 200 people in some cases, because we are delivering value. So those webinars are nothing else, are not product at the moment. So we need to be aware and use those webinars to actually create traffic toward our website. So a webinar is a good opportunity to market a new service or a new package that we have, but we have to be very thorough in it. So I would like to have the sales team with some other people probably thinking about how to add at the end of every webinar a nice slide with a landing page or a promotion code or whatever it is that drive traffic to our website, and see if people appreciate the webinar and actually are asking for services and products on other websites.
Actually, I think that the webinar and all these activities are part of the package or a part of the program the people are developing during the 3 phases. So if a webinar, for example, is one thing to test something, it would be in phase 2. If it's something else, it would be probably something in phase 2 or whatever. So it's more like we need to embed every activity, or we should embed every activity in this one topic we are working on. So don't do any webinar here and there and think about this kind of thing. We should also stop the one we are planning at the moment unless we have them already widely announced, but make sure that everything is somehow connected to the MeWeAll content we are driving forward in each week.
And to generate traffic or to validate whatever, okay? So we have to think a little bit more broad, not just see if someone is interested in what we do, but actually purposefully driving them toward a specific package or service that we are doing. And same applies to blog posts. Thanks, Simon, for pointing that out. Exactly, every blog post should have a purpose. It's cool to have an ongoing tam-tam of information, but we also should be careful not to overdo that. So we don't have to overdo advertisement, because we are losing a lot of subscribers from our mailing list if we do that. We already sent out a couple of mailing recently to our list, including the polls, which was quite innocent, but we lost a substantial amount of subscribers because of that mail, and the performance is not that stellar anyway. So my suggestion, but this is something Alessio will have to evaluate, is that we keep on our regular pace, possibly delivering a new blog post a week or 2 maybe, and then we use the standard weekly maybe newsletter going out with the content, valuable content from the blog post and so on, and add there some additional promotion. So it means every squad will be working on new ideas to promote. We'll have also to include a small teaser that probably Alessio can include in our standard mailing list, so that it's not an extra communication and feels like spam, but is rather part of our standard offering newsletter, which goes out anyway, and people are subscribed to it. How do we organize the feedback loop to the overall community? For example, info about feedback and output of squad Slack will be further all-end meetings. Good question. We might want to continue doing all-end meetings, that is helpful, but my idea is that we will be working in creating information radiators. So we have already the board now. You can see there in real time what is happening. We have created some example, which I forgot to show you before, and I'm going to show you now. We created already an example. We started with a German team working on creating a landscape analysis, and we have created a simple template which needs a lot of love, but we are going to expand it probably and adding a little bit more of information to it. But here there is an example. You can see that on this side we listed all the company existing client that we have at the moment, in which market sector they are operating, and also we have a lot of other information, like is B2C or B2B, is already in reduced time. In Germany we have Kurzarbeit, which means people are working 50%, 25%, or even less of their normal regular time, and if they're working remotely or not. So we are going to qualify all of these leads by looking at what was the coach which worked there last, what are the latest activity, reaching out to people with personalized email. try to understand how they are doing, just empathically asking what is your current situation. And then our goal is to rank each of them in terms of business fitness, so how fit they are with the crisis, for example, and how good is our contact with them. It's called contact affinity. And the sum of these two numbers gives us a priority score index, which is telling us what are the clients that we probably should look at or basically reach out to in terms of selling them or upselling them new services. But it's also pointing out one thing, for example, that definitely in the telecommunication industry, at the moment, the business is doing quite okay. Despite the crisis, is actually better than before. So if we have any client or any specific way to create leads out of the telecom industry, that is a place we should look for, because those guys are having the money, at least at the moment. I don't know how long it will last, and they are probably not so able or organized to work remotely effectively. So those are examples on what we could be doing to do that. And also information radiator, including charts. And the result of the chart could be landing a nice Google dashboard, which is still linked to our home agile42.com, which is our new pedia site. Since you are also entering a beta period for Strategy Map 2.0, the Strategy Map request channel in Slack can be used to provide constructive feedback, ask usability questions, and we would like to be able to monetize the tool ASAP. There was already an idea for this. Simon, I think, championed it. The idea was to demonstrate into a webinar how do we work remotely. So we can probably try this out for a week or two, fix some of the quirks that will come up, and then we can probably have a webinar and show everybody how we work. And the purpose could be to try to sell some Agile Strategy Map licenses. Okay. I don't see any other question. I give you a couple of seconds more to think thoroughly. Oh, here we go. Are office and salespeople part of a squad? Good question. No, they aren't, because they are part of their own squad. So office people will be part of the international office team. Notice team means is stable, as opposed to squad is variable. And the sales also will be part of international sales team. The international sales team will support all squad in determining marketability, pricing point, business model for all of the activities that we are already doing or planning to do, and all the services that we are going to sell. And the information point, sync point for this is the CRM website, where we are describing all of the packages, the value for the customer and the target groups in there. That is the place where we know what we have and what we can sell at any moment in time. So there will probably a continuous update of that site over time. And there is a connected spreadsheet on which the sales team could put down some indicatory pricing, at least for each of the services, so that every country has an idea on what will be priced and how it will be priced. Do we have the potential prioritized topic for the next week already? We have some ideas. We are going to put them up ASAP. But as I said, everybody can have ideas, so you're welcome to do that. The idea we had so far for testing in the We Agile value stream, which is the team value stream, the idea of offering remote team liftoff with remote facilitation, which means we are actually specifically making a liftoff with infrastructure, working agreement, and all this stuff for working remotely, as opposed to just do a remote liftoff. We do a liftoff for remote working, okay? So that could be a package which is needed at this point in time. There is a good rationale behind it. It might work, so we need a very appealing suggestion on how to market it on the website, creating a nice landing page, finding a way to reach and create traffic, and then see what happens. Ideally, we want to go through phase 1 in 1 week time. So we are talking about going really fast. And in order to do that, we will work in creating an infrastructure which allow us very quickly to create landing pages, simply to measure click-through, conversion rate, and doing all these type of things.
But guys, just to be again clear, when you are in a squad, The job of the squad is not, we need a landing page. We should have a landing page, right? So what the office team or the sales team or whatever needs is a very clear understanding of what you want to say there, probably pre-drafted text and all this kind of thing. So of course we can take care also together with Michi about style and how this looks like, and we will have corrections on text and probably more marketing language and so on. But it's not that we get just we should have a landing page for this product. Okay, so we need what do you want to be written there? What is the message of this landing page? What do you want to be displayed, and so on? Okay.
Then we have another question. Can these office and sales teams sync at some point? Yes, definitely.
More or less the same people, guys.
Are roughly the same people, but not entirely. And I guess every squad will have at least a weekly sync, if not daily stand-ups. That's up to you guys, depending on how intense is the work at the moment and how still adapting you are. So doing on a daily basis, daily stand-up is probably more suitable until certain processes and things will be clarified. But if we want to validate phase 1 in 1 week, I suggest doing daily stand-up instead of weekly sync. It's a lot more senseful. And if the squad work together on a daily basis, probably they will sync daily anyway. So there will be a lot of chat going on, a lot of Zoom calls and things like that. Yes, that's the link. So no more question, guys. Feedback, comments, anything is welcome. Nothing is written in stone. We have a minimal framework to start from, and we need to inspect and adapt on a weekly basis and try to improve, okay, and evolve this approach. Cool. So I guess that's it. And thumbs up, everyone. Oh, just said, well done. Thank you. Thumbs up, everyone. And stay tuned. And if you feel you have time and you want to contribute to something, just be loud on Slack channel and inform everybody. Look at the strategy map. We're going to link all of this stuff. And we're going to send a link to the document, to the presentation I have created, and to all the templates via Slack. I guess I will post it on Slack General, where everybody should have access. Okay? Cool. Take care, everybody. Stay safe.
Thank you. Bye.